Hey guys, it's Tatiana.
It's Saida.
It's Shreya, and this is TSS Talks. Today we're going to be talking about censorship that we see in our day-to-day lives. And one topic that's pretty prominent and talked about a lot are movies and the different kind of ratings and if they're actually necessary to have. So, as you know, we have the ratings G, PG, PG-13, R, and NC-17. And something that I was thinking we could talk about is if you think that age is just a number. So what do you guys think?
I agree with the statement that age is just a number because I really don't think that it's up to some old people sitting in a room or even middle aged people sitting in a room making up rules about movies and whether or not they think that, kids should be seeing them because they really don't know how, you know, people's minds work. Everybody, has a different level of maturity. And, some people are mature way earlier on in life than some other people. But I do get that they might be doing these ratings just so that some of the parents out there would be comfortable with, it's kind of like for the public to know that these movies do have these things in them and this is what we recommend. Like, this is the age we recommend that you should be when you watch these things. But, I really don't think like NC-17, it's where you can't, anybody under 17 can't go even if you are accompanied with an adult, which is unlike rated R, which is you can go if you're under 17 as long as you have somebody over 17 with you. I don't think that they should have the power to completely restrict someone. I just don't think that that's something that somebody else should decide for the general public.
Especially as an outlook that it reflects on all people below the age of 17. Like you have a few like immature people, and then they make the rules based on those people that they want to limit their like creativity or whatever is going on in their mind. But they're also mature people, and that probably angers them that they're forced to be where everyone else is because everybody else is being immature while they're being mature. And
they kind of lump all of the teenagers into one group. It's kind of like stereotyping again when they just expect everybody to be
of the same level
and just kind of immature.
So do you guys when do you guys felt like you were mature enough to like see like a rated R movie by yourself, or like just like not really considering ratings, like you didn't think they applied to you anymore, or if they ever did?
Well, I think over the years, like I was able to watch like rated R movies that just held violence. Like those were like ones that I felt mature watching. Like I didn't freak out or anything. And like, I guess like the more you watch it, the more you like get like normal with it. You're like, okay, yeah, this isn't anything. I'm not gonna react to it like in such a big way.
I remember being like 11 and I used to see all the ratings on like most of the horror movies that I would want to watch or most of like just the action movies that I would want to watch, and they would always be PG-13, and I thought there was like some really strict rule where you really couldn't go if you were under 13, but they don't really enforce that unless it's like rated R. And even sometimes they don't do that, in cases of rated R. Some places don't really check ID, but I honestly thought that like since our world is so open and everybody's so exposed to things,
especially with social media,
I feel like around the age of 11, like it depends on everybody's like comfort zone. It depends on the person if they're uncomfortable being around, violence or gore. I mean, the rating kind of warns you about what's going to be in the movie, so I think that's, just for people's comfort. But personally, I think I like around 11, 12, I think I was fine with watching things, but sexual things just kind of like freak me out either way. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be comfortable watching that. But in terms of like gore and violence and um, just like expletives and things, I don't think if they're being used carelessly, then it might just be annoying. Like, I don't think I'm going to be comfortable with that. But if it's like adding to the plot and if it's like a couple of cuss words thrown around here and there, I don't think I would mind that much watching that movie as long as, it helps with the acting and just kind of setting the mood of the story.
And that you're comfortable with it. Yeah, and like people are only gonna watch what they're comfortable with, too.
Yeah, like, nobody's gonna put themselves in a situation.
In a situation where they're gonna be, oh, I want to watch this movie, but it's not what I want. Like it's not in my comfort zone that I don't
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember like being like, I guess around 11 or 12, and that's really like I think nowadays, social media is such a big influence in many people's lives, so they're becoming mature like faster, which could be a bad thing or a good thing, however you look at it. But I remember being younger, and I always like hated movie ratings because I knew I could like, I know what I could handle and stuff, and I knew I could handle certain movies, but it's just my parents. They don't know my maturity or like my level of
And felt like they were
maturity.
putting a label on.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
think I'm like down here, but I'm really like up there, and there's
Mhm.
no way of explaining it to them without them thinking, "Oh, you're just saying things."
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Like, do you think that parents have a certain limit to where they can go, where they tell you to stop with like whatever movie you want to watch, or what age do you think parents should stop telling kids like what they can or can't watch?
I think
I think-
parents. You can go.
Okay. I think that parents, like, when they see that their child's mature enough to handle the situations, like maybe like because like you said, people mature faster, but people also mature slower, and they're gonna be immature longer.
And I think parents
So-
could like add to like your maturity level, like depending
Yeah,
on parents you
definitely.
grew up with, if they were really conservative or stuff. Like you
Yeah.
probably weren't exposed to things until you got into middle school when everyone else already knew about
Mhm.
whatever. So.
Like if it were me, like if I saw that my child was mature enough to handle like something in a movie, then yeah, I let her watch it because she'd be mature.
I feel like parents, like, they do have a say on what you do, definitely, because if you're
They know
living
what's
in
good
their
for you.
house and, they really do know what's best for you, no matter, how much you might think that, you're the boss of yourself or whatever, and nobody knows better than you. But I really do think that parents do it just to protect their kids, but I think it's wrong if your parents are kind of like holding it against you. I feel like it's fine if they I think it's fine for parents to have some control over you as long as they don't suppress you because of that control. Because I feel like you do need to be exposed to some things just to live life at certain ages. Like if you don't know what certain words mean when you're in middle school, you might be confused, or you might be they might be inadvertently putting you in danger somehow. Like if you're in a bad situation and you don't really know like what's happening around you. I think like it's good for you to have that kind of like exposure through movies beforehand, so at least you know where like that bad situation is going, or how you got there, or how to avoid those situations. But just in the case of like people who just want to like go watch rated R movies just because they know that there's going to be like nudity in it, or if they're going to be immature about it, then that's kind of stupid. And I think that in that case they should definitely like listen to their parents. And I don't think there's anything wrong with parents checking in on like ratings and things, as long as they watch the trailer too, and they read reviews about it and make sure that there's nothing like too extreme going on in that movie.
And like as bad as it is, like as parents don't want to believe there are bad things going on, and it's just gonna in the world, bad things keep happening. And it's
That
just
their
gonna
children
keep
are exposed to.
yeah, and it's just gonna keep going up and up and up. So, I mean, maybe if you don't want your kids to watch like gory stuff on the news, I mean, exposing them to stuff through movies, it's something you have to do eventually.
And sometimes knowledge is the only like power you have against those things. Like the best way you can protect yourself is to have knowledge about those things, just so that you can avoid those situations and you can just be aware of the world that you do live in. Because I really do think the older you get, like the more you start realizing about the world, and the more you realize that there are some really messed up things that happen around you like all day every day. And it's really weird to realize that when you get older. And I think it's a lot easier if you've already been like slightly like exposed to those things like through movies, even though like when you're younger you might see that and think, oh no, that's never going to happen to me, or that's never going to happen in the world, that's kind of extreme. But like once you get older, you find out that it really does happen to people, and it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, okay, so another thing that I found interesting while I was like researching movie ratings and stuff is also video game ratings. So CARA, which stands for Classification and Rating Administration, they issue the ratings for motion pictures. And the way that they do it is that their rating board is made up of a group of parents who like watch the movie first, then talk about it, and then they vote on a rating. And with video games, they use ESRB, which is Entertainment Software Rating Board, and it's generally made of 3 specially trained raters, and the raters are of like different ages and background, and they can't have any ties to the video game industry or computers, and they're not supposed to be like expert game players, and they're like kept anonymous. So one thing that I thought was like really distinct about both the groups is that video game ratings, they have people of like different ages and background, which is something that movie groups don't have. They just have parents, and I thought that was interesting. So like another question that I have for you guys is if teens and kids like of the age of like the rating of the movie that is decided, if they should be allowed to have a say before that rating becomes official.
Well, I definitely see the parents' perspective that they want to, protect their children from what there is. But I do think that teens who of the respective age should be able to have some say at least, because they know what they can handle and their parents might not know that. And like as for I think that the movie raters should follow what the gamers are doing and get like a whole bunch of different different people with different ages, because that really like influences all that's going on, and like you get like a new perspective of what everyone has to say, not just like the parents, not just the people that want to like shield their children from, because they don't know what their child is capable of. Yeah.
Okay, so another example of censorship that I saw like a few days ago was like at a Target, and this guy, he was wearing a shirt that had like profanity on it, and there were like little kids everywhere, so I wasn't sure like how I felt about it. So how did you guys feel about it? Since like, does it show freedom of speech taken too far?
I think it is his freedom of speech, just because, I mean, like, it's his choice if he wants to, like, wear. So I think that it's his choice, what he wants to wear, and I really don't think that anybody really has the right to tell him not to do that. Even if there are kids around, I just think that, I guess it's like the parents' responsibility to kind of, like, stop them from doing that, but I don't think they have the right to, like, stop somebody else from, like, unless he was being, like, obscene or something, and he had, like, if he, like, wasn't wearing clothes, I think that would be a problem, but if he's wearing something and it just has, like, an expletive on his shirt or something, I don't think that should really affect kids, because if they really are kids, they shouldn't even know what it means in the first place, so it shouldn't really affect them that much.
I guess so, but it is kind of like a way, like he's exposing children to that word, and I guess I understand that parents would be angry that Amanda's like wearing a shirt with like profanity on it, and I think that like you're right, he does have a say in like what he gets to wear. He can wear anything he wants, but he should know that he's also exposing children to that, and that he should probably wear it more around more adults, more like mature, so like he's not exposing children to it. Like to a Target, he shouldn't go with a shirt like that, but like he can go where like there are adults. So he should like more mature about the situation.
He should be careful about, like, whether or not it's like family stores or like family like places.
Yeah, okay, so this wraps up our discussion on today's podcast of TSS Talks.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.